Hey, it's Aaron, the metal theologian. So, yeah, I've been a while since I made a video, but anyway, I heard from Stavros earlier today, Spinning Greek, and he's asked me about a particular record. In fact, I should probably pull out the record to show it, but it was the Food Brain record. They have a copy in at a shop that we both know about right now, and he was like, is this one worth the price tag? Because it's kind of expensive. Shit, sorry, I'm having trouble getting comfortable today. I got my fucking ankle fucked with earlier. So, where they cut that shit off, and I showed pictures a couple times. It's a trip because that was like Thanksgiving of 2019, and like, I'm still getting like surgical follow-ups on that thing, but when I think about how much the world has changed since I had that thing cut off, it's just fucking insane. Anyway, so, Stavros, the Spinning Greek, he hasn't made a video in a while, but I guess you could say he manages to get me to spend money I should probably not be spending on records, and he does it without making videos, so. Maybe that's like the really advanced vinyl community. It's like when you get to the point where you don't even have to make videos, and you can still influence people to like spend money they should be spending on records. So, yeah, anyway, so we were talking, right? And he was asking about the Food Brain record. He was like, "Is this one worth it?" And I said, "Well, you know, it's I like that record a lot, but it's not really what I reach for very often." And he was like, "Well, what do you mean by reaching for it very often? What's very often?" And I kind of went, you know, shit. As many times as I've said that in my life, I've probably said it in a third of my videos. You know. Yeah, I've never really like thought to try to like quantify that or something. So I've been spending the day thinking about like what does it mean if I pull a record out, because I have a really clear idea about what that means in my head. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, this is kind of all new shit to me because I've been listening to like the Stoner Doom shit. So none of this shit really counts. Actually, this is what we're listening to right now. This is Saturn Beyond Spectra by Saturn. I couldn't resist that cover. That was basically all I knew about him when I fucking bought this. So. Oh, this is exceptionally funny. It had like a space age name, but it's still like 21st century. So the T is an upside down cross, even though it's Saturn. It totally doesn't fit. So, yeah, there aren't any good examples right here, but because I just, you know, it's not like I bought all these yesterday, but I don't have the long history with them, you know. But it's like, for instance, you know, so the first thing that came to my mind was once a month. If I pull a record out like once a month on average, that's a record I reach for a lot, you know. But on second thought, like Deep Purple and rock is kind of the record where if I had to pick one favorite, I've kind of, you know, this is always one of those things, right? But I've kind of told people that if I were going to pick one record as my all-time favorite, it was probably going to be Deep Purple and rock, right? So I consider that to be a record that I reach for pretty often. Because, I mean, I play that record, like, a fair bit, you know? But a fair bit really means, like, a couple times a year. And I know every note on that record. I got my first copy of that when I was 12. So before, you know, well, I was going to say before a lot of you watching, that probably isn't true. But, like, people I work with and shit like that, a lot of them probably weren't born yet, you know? So, yeah. I feel like I had this really intimate relationship with that record, and there are a lot that I feel like I do too, like some of the Black Sabbath stuff in particular, where I don't like feel like I need to reach for it as often as I do the Deep Purple. Which is one reason I always kind of have to give them the edge a little bit as far as my own sort of, you know, early metal, proto metal, whatever you want to call it. That era, like who sort of the best band is, you know, because even though Sabbath usually gets the accolades, it pretty much deserves them, you know, on account of purity of intent, if nothing else, you know. I've always just kind of liked Deep Purple more, and there have been times in my life I probably wouldn't have copped to that too, because Deep Purple, I mean, Black Sabbath made some shitty records, but Deep Purple really went nuts with the shitty records, man. I mean, Deep Purple, Jesus, like. It's like Alice Cooper's the only analogous one I can think of. And Alice Cooper, like, takes the crown. Is like, you tell people, yeah, Alice Cooper's great. And you tell this to someone who doesn't necessarily know, and they're like, "Oh, okay, cool. Well, he has all these records. I'll just pick one, and see how it is." And I go, wait a minute, because if they accidentally pick Constrictor, then they're getting the wrong idea. And Alice Cooper has so many records like that. With Deep Purple, I don't think any of their bad records are as, just rotten as a lot of that Alice Cooper stuff. But still, I very hard pressed to find anything good to say about Stormbringer. That's not true. It's still Deep Purple. I could say a couple nice things about Stormbringer, but the reality is that record sucks. I think that's the worst Deep Purple record, really. I think it's more listenable than the Beatles covers on the first two records, but it's probably their worst album overall. Now I'm kind of second guessing that. Anyway, so a band that I think of myself as reaching for often is like Destruction. Okay, so how often do I listen to Destruction? That was kind of the metric that I came up with in my head, and that's about once a month. So that's where that came from. Now on the other extreme, from the Deep Purple thing, one thing I tend to do is when I get records, I'll keep them out and I'll like play them a few times and like really sort of spend a little time with them before I put them away. And so, it's not all that uncommon for me to have a record that I've been listening to every day, So if I listen to a record every day for 2 weeks, clearly that's a record I'm reaching for a lot. But if then I put it away and kind of don't play it again for a year, I mean, does that average out to something? Or does it just mean that, like, when I get new records, I like to spend some time with them before I put them away, So that's sort of another angle on the whole, how often is often a thing. So, anyway, I don't know that I really have an answer. That's just sort of what it is. I'm fucking 7 minutes in and I haven't even shown any records yet. But, that's sort of on my mind. It's a funny thing. I'm curious if you all soliciting comments. Be sure to like this video and leave a comment below about what you would consider to be a record that you reach for a lot. If you're inclined to overthink things the way I am, then between the fact that you have to interpret the phrase and then try to apply it, it's just, I could do that all day long. Anyway, I'm still kind of on the stoner metal thing. Although, there's this band, a Mexican band. I think Merciful Metal might have talked about this. Subscribe to him if you're not already. He knows a lot more about like South American metal than I do. And I guess these guys technically aren't South American because they're Mexican, but they're from this side of the world and they sing in Spanish. So this is Vixit. This actually just came in. I haven't even played it yet. El Poder del Metal. Ah, shit. I love the price tag in pesos too. But yeah, I even cracked the shrink on this. What's cool about this actually is this came from the record store, La Ciruela Electrica. And they've been on my radar for like probably about 20 years because when I first was getting into like the Mexican 70s shit, there was this little label that popped up that was redoing the first couple Doug Doug's records. So you're like, holy shit, those are classic fucking records. Those are great. So they did a couple other things, but anytime I saw their name on a record, I would check it out just because of the label, Well, it's really a record shop in like Tijuana or right around there or something. So he actually mailed the record from the States, but it kind of felt good to like get a record from this place that I already kind of revered, So anyway, they made some really good choices. There are a lot of little labels like that though, too. Like Monster Records, I kind of feel the same way about. The Rocketdrome predecessor. I ended up getting into the Full Moon record, and I like that record a lot now. But I had to listen to that a lot of times to like really work at it to get my head around what that could be, because the first several times I was like, this is just fucking shit, man. Like some AOR bullshit, Although it isn't really much of an AOR record. It's more just like a hard rock record that isn't hard at all, Anyway, I've really come around on it, but I spent all this time with that because it had come out on Monster, And like Dennis and, when Phil was around, Phil It's like they put out shit like that Mark of the Beast record by Manila Road, you know what I mean? Or they do like that Kane record. I'd never heard of Kane, but they put that out, so I checked that record out because of it, and of course it's great, you know what I mean? Or they totally dug up for me Survivor too. Actually, Survivor might have been a Rockadrome one. I'm pretty sure it was. So, like the JPT Scare Band is another old monster one. There's a whole bunch of them, but not so many that it's overwhelming. Just like enough that they're all sort of special in their own way. So, yeah. Anyway, I'm just talking about bullshit. So yeah, I'll show some records. So this one. I'm looking for a particular one here. This fucking record just blew my mind when I heard the first few seconds of it. This is Elder, and it starts out with this really like heavy, like awesome bass pattern. Like it's kind of more than a riff already, you know. It's like this big section. What is it? Spires Burn / Release. So the song is Spires Burn. Yeah, but it's just fucking fantastic. It has this great plotting feel, this really sort of open bass sound. And the tone it sets just second to none, man. It fucking blew my mind in a second, you know. Yeah, here's another one I've been really into. This is Arrowhead, and the record is Coven of the Snake. And, you know, I checked a bunch of these out just because they were on Ripple, so, you know, they were all good, right? But some I like more than others, right? This is one of the ones that I really liked a lot. The fucking chorus for the first song, just Coven of the Snake, just like hooks me in, and like I'm sold for the rest of the record. In fact, I'm probably gonna put this on next. But I'm digging this too. It's one of those little dilemmas you get, right? Yeah. Anyway, these guys are Australian. I know that because it says it on the sticker. And that's it. It's really been fun, like, listening to this shit, because it's just, every time I discover a new, like, genre that, or you know, subgenre or whatever it is, and just sort of get into it, and it clicks like that, like it did with this, and like it did with the hip-hop a couple of years ago, and the hippie shit. And I still love all that shit now, by the way. I'm not, like, as hooked on them as I was for those periods, but, like, it's like when my mind opened up, it stayed open. It didn't just go back, yeah, I really don't like that shit much. Like, that kind of happened with me with glam metal, actually. I was a lot more tolerant of it for a while, and now I'm not as hostile to it as I was in the 80s, but I'm a lot more hostile to it than I was 6 years ago. Oh, hey, I pulled something else out to show y'all before, because I love shit like this. And you watch my channel for random shit like this anyway, right? So I'm trying to cover up last names. I got this in the mail today, though. I had my, it's addressed to me. And I got something weird like this recently under other circumstances, but yeah, just some people in Somerville, you know? And it's like, it's addressed to me and it's sent to me at home, so I'm like, oh, what the hell is this, you know? So it's this thing I'm trying to cover all like last names, like I said, but it's like, dear, it says, I opened this up, right? And oh shit, it's something from the Jehovah's Witnesses, but what makes this special is it's in Tagalog. Look at that shit. Except sincerely. How awesome is that? That someone's trying to, like, I don't know, that just makes me really happy to get a letter in Tagalog from someone trying to make me a Jehovah's Witness, you know? I'd probably feel bad if I met him in real life, but, you know, it's not very likely that's going to happen. Although there are more Filipinos here than you might expect. Anyway. Yeah, that kind of made my morning. I mean, I'd rather get records in the mail, but getting shit like that, you know. Alright, so what else do we have here? This record, you know, I know a lot of this shit is like 70s styled on purpose. And my favorite stuff tends to be the shit that isn't so much directly 70s styled, as much as the shit that's like, well, doomy and psychedelic but sounds modern, you know what I mean? Because it's funny, but I've always been into that sort of thing. Like, one reason I didn't like the hippie bands is because none of them were particularly psychedelic. You know what I mean? At least like, you know, like the Dead and shit like that. It's like they were doing psychedelics, but the music wasn't really all that psychedelic, not compared to like Hawkwind or something like that, you know what I mean? So that kind of shit I tend to love, you know? And it's like, if I think of the 70s, I think of like Simply Saucer, maybe. Some of the Styrene shit. Maybe it's like some early Perubu, that shit with like this sort of electronics worked in, right? But, and that making him spacey, you know? And then later on, like Nucleon and shit like that. I fucking geek out over that band all the time. Anyway, Witchcraft. They didn't have that psychedelic thing, but they had the 70s thing to a degree that was like uncanny. I mean, these guys just really nail it. There are a lot of bands out there, and I like a lot of them, who are like playing like those kinds of riffs, you know, and putting that kind of sound together, but they still, you know, they don't sound like they're playing amps from the 70s, you know what I mean? Shit like that, you know, the singing styles, because that's fashionable, and that's, I think it's harder to contrive. Well, these guys fucking, every little 70s thing you'd expect to nail. In fact, what they really remind me of is like a heavy Black Widow. Like the singer sounds a lot like the guy from Black Widow. So yeah, I've been really into this record. It's not what I would have normally reached for, but that's another way of using it, right? But now that it's in my hand, I'm fucking enjoying it a lot. Yeah, what else do we have here? Oh, fucking Electric Wizard I've been listening to a lot, man. Because that's like the, they have like the sort of spacey thing going on. It's kind of psychedelic. I mean, not all the time, right? But when they do it, they fucking do it, you know? With like the drony riffs and the fucking just weird noises and shit. So yeah, I've been geeking out over them kind of a lot. This is probably my favorite, actually. I was about to pull Dope Throne, but this one, fucking... Yeah, Come My Fanatics. This is probably my favorite. But I really like, I mean, they're all great. But that one and this one are actually the one that I've probably been playing the most. Time to Die. So... Alright, what else do we have here? Oh shit, let's hype this a little bit. Ooh, I don't know if I should, because I think this might be sold out, but this Thresher record is great. I mean, here's the thing. If I were watching this video, like, there'd be words that I'd be seeing happening, but like, I would see that cover and be like, that's okay. You don't need to say anything. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. I mean, this is Jesus metal. I feel obliged to say that. Because a friend of mine once was really pissed off one time. This is back in the 90s, but this guy I made friends with when I first moved to San Francisco. He was into death metal, right? He was into this band Mortification. And, you know, he would just mention that he like hadn't been able to find it. He was looking for the CD. I think you could only get the first one at this point. It was a long time ago. So when I was at the record store and I came across a copy, so I was like, oh shit, well how about that? You know, I grabbed it and I gave it to him. And like when he saw that they were Jesus metal, he was like kind of pissed. Like he thought it might be the wrong band or something. He was like, what the fuck? You know, you can't even do this Jesus metal? So anyway, in the spirit of avoiding that, this is Jesus metal. But that said, and it's kind of a stupid band name too, I think. I mean, what, like a Thresher Shark maybe or something are they supposed to be? I mean, Thrasher would already be a bad name. Fucking, it is a bad name for that fucking super group on that sucky ass record. But, I don't know what the fuck Thresher is supposed to mean, but it doesn't matter, because you see that cover? There you go, man. Now, it's not like a Manowar record, it is kind of more of a thrashy record, but it's not like total, like, speed all the way through, you know, it's a really solid metal record with, let's say the singer is not like an epic metal style singer, you know? That's not bad, but he just doesn't have that kind of voice. Yeah, I want to put on the Coven of the Snake, but, yeah, I'll just fucking do it. I feel in my gut like that's the one that I'll get an ad put on this video for. many records have I shown? Like 5 or 6? Yeah, kind of quiet. I've got to have a head up my ass lately. I've been watching those fucking Star Wars cartoons. You know what's funny? Is like, when those remasters came out, I watched those all in the theater. And it kind of went like, you know, I'm not sure if I'm on board with that CGI shit. You know? And then the prequels came out. And I was one of the guys who would, holy shit, these are bad, you know? But I've come around and find reasons to like them because from the story standpoint, there's really a lot more going on in the prequels, you know? So once you can sort of get away from it and, like, stop looking at it as, like, something you gotta, like, revere Star Wars, like when I was a little kid, honestly, that was totally one of those kids. Surprise, right? But if you can just sort of step back and just take it as, like, the way you consume anything else and not just, like, assume that everything has to be great. So if something sucks, you just forget about it. It doesn't bother you, right? From that standpoint, there's a lot more going on in the prequels. The original trilogy is really kind of nothing by comparison, you know? Yeah, whatever. I lost my train of thought. Those cartoons are fun to watch, though. It's kind of, I don't know, man. It's funny. There's a time when I would have been too put off by just sort of the bad karma of all that stuff, you know? I wouldn't be able to just enjoy shit like that. And as it is, it's like, fuck it, you know? I'm closer to 50 than I am to fucking 30 at this point, by a lot. So, what the fuck do I have to prove anyone if I feel like watching this fucking kids show? Oh, I must have a couple more Nod records. I gotta show these. This is like Lionel Richie's band for a while. Yeah, that one was cool. I think I like this one more of the two. Of all of them, the first one that I got, I don't know the names of any of these. Yeah, here. Chapel Perilous. This is probably still the best of the three. But this first one was very different from that. It was a lot more like sort of experimental. And, yeah, but still really cool, man. It's like, it's just really good in a different way. I will say, though, if you hear one of these records, I wouldn't necessarily assume that you'll like the other one if you haven't heard it. So, but they're both really good records. This one is closer to like, I mean, really kind of the heavier sort of that kind of rock shit, like, that I've kind of been obsessed with. I mean, it's not they don't sound like Arrowhead at all, but there's more happening by way of rhythm and that sort of thing. This one's kind of more just like abstract, but not so abstract. It's not like listening to you know, Pierre Henry or something like that, you know, where it's just sort of sound effects and weird shit. It's abstract, but in a more focused sort of way, which is what makes this a really good record, if you ask me. So, I think that's just the first Nod. So, yeah, and then this is the other one. It's a pretty cool cover. All these covers are pretty cool. That's kind of awesome too. Yeah, Tony's First Communion and Vatican on In God We Trust by Nod. So yeah, I got my fucking ear cut on today. I keep wanting to scratch it, but like it's all fucked up. You probably can't see, but like, yeah, there's like a fucking scab in there. They're biopsying to see if I have fucking cancer or something. Alright, well, how long is this? 24 minutes? Let me show one more record. I don't know what yet. We're going to show one more record. Here, I'll do this actually. If you like the Witchcraft record, another one that's kind of like that too, where they really do all the 70s shit right. And these guys don't nail it quite as hard as Witchcraft does. They're really unique in that. But as far as that kind of style, like that old style played by younger guys, Stone Axe is really good, man. I'm gonna play this one next too. This is really just like old style hard rock, and it doesn't, as far as its sound and presentation, it doesn't pretend it's 70s, but it writes the exact same kind of music and just plays it now and like is cool with that, if that makes sense, you know. There's always going to be a vibe that's different on a record like this than like a Grand Funk record, you know. But the thing is, the production on this is way better because people can know how to produce hard rock now. Those fucking Grand Funk records sound terrible, you know. I listen to those records from time to time because I've never gotten that into Grand Funk, but I believe to this day that a big part of the reason why is because the production on the jobs on those first few records is so bad that it's like any like life and energy is just sucked completely out. It's like it's in this little dome, you know. I have a friend. That's why the Robert Ludwig press of the Led Zeppelin 2 is a big deal, right? Although a friend of mine, the guy who went up and did Grown Man Record Night with me last time he was out here, but he wasn't on camera. He actually likes that sort of distant, like muted sound on Zeppelin 2 compared with the other one. Like that production actually appeals to him. So I don't know, man. Maybe I'm alone. Well, actually, I know damn well I'm not alone in thinking that it sounds better when it's like alive and vibrant. Anyway, this is fucking great, isn't it? This fucking Arrowhead. I love this cover art too, man. You know? It's like it totally goes for that vibe, but this is totally influenced by like graffiti art in a way that something done before